Yes, sir. Welcome back to Dimers TV. And for today, we will continue with our team preview series. This time, giving the spotlight on the Orlando Magic. Yes, sir. So to start off with our team preview series on the Orlando Magic, let us look back at what they did last season. Oh my goodness, they had the worst record in the league. They finished with a 21 and 51 record the last time we checked. Okay, so third worst record, second worst record in the East, and then third worst record in the whole league. When it comes to their team stats, the Orlando Magic were 29th in points per game as they averaged only 104 points per ball game. And then they were very elite when it comes to rebounding. They averaged 45.4 rebounds per game. That was good for 7th best in the league. When it comes to their assists, well, they really have to improve on this because they only averaged 21.8 assists per ball game, and that was 28th in the league. And then when it comes to their points allowed, they were pretty decent. They gave up 111.3 points per game. That was 14th best in the league. Okay, so what are the storylines for the Orlando Magic? How did they get here, or what happened to them last season? As we all know, they started the season like a house on fire. They were like winning a lot of games, and then eighth game, and then into their eighth game, Markel Fultz tore his ACL. And remember, they came into the season with that Jonathan Isaac, who had an ACL injury during the bubble. And then when they started losing, they eventually decided, you know what, we're just going to blow it up. They traded Evan Fournier. They traded Aaron Gordon. Fournier went to Boston, and then Aaron Gordon went to Denver. And then, of course, they also traded Nick Vucevic, their all-star player for, the longest time, their best player for the longest time, like for the past, 7 years. And they traded him to the Bulls. Okay, so that indicated that they were really, or that they decided that, you know what, we're gonna start all over again. Okay, so these are some of the key returning players for the Orlando Magic. Guy who is still here, ironically, is Terrence Ross. He was the guy who led them in scoring, as he averaged 15.6 points per game. There were instances where we really thought Terrence Ross would get traded as well, but lo and behold, he is still here. Their leading rebounder was Wendell Carter Jr. He was the one acquired from the Chicago Bulls for the Nick Vucevic, or as part of the Nick Vucevic deal. Wendell Carter Jr. played well for the Magic. He averaged 8.8 rebounds to go with his 11.7 points per game as part of the Orlando Magic. He led them in rebounding, right? In all the games that he played there, he was the one who led them in rebounding. And then for the assists, well, even though he only played in 8 games, it was Markel Fultz who actually led the team in assists. In terms of average, he averaged 5.4 assists per ball game. Markel was really having a breakout season. He was averaging 12.9 points, 3.1 boards, 5.4 assists, and then 1 steal, and then boom, he was gone because he injured his knee and ended up with a torn ACL. Okay, when it comes to the steals, it was Chuma Okeke. He was a pleasant surprise for the Magic. The former Auburn Tiger played really well. He averaged 7.8 points per game, 4 boards per game, 2.2 assists, and he led them in steals with 1.1 steals per ball game. And then as for the blocks, it was actually Mo Bamba, their former lottery pick. He finally got a chance to play when they traded Nick Vucevic, and he played well. He had a lot of double-doubles there, and then a lot of monster games as well with multiple blocks. He ended the season leading the team in blocks with 1.3. So good sign. At least Mo Bamba isn't really a bust. Uh, he just needed an opportunity to show what he could do. Okay. And then as for the draft, oh, they added two important rookies. They got two top 10 picks. The first one is Jalen Suggs. No one expected Jalen Suggs to be wearing an Orlando Magic uniform. Everyone thought he would be going to Toronto. But then Toronto decided to draft Scotty Barnes. And as a result, Jalen Suggs goes to the Magic. The, you know, best player on that Gonzaga team was obviously Jalen Suggs, and a super athlete as well. And then we have Franz Wagner, who is the brother of Mo Wagner. They are going to be teammates here in Orlando. He's from Michigan. He's known more for his intangibles, or the intangibles that he brings. We don't really know how much opportunity he will be getting here in this first year, especially if Jonathan Isaac comes back. Okay, so this is now the projected depth chart of the Orlando Magic. So we have, because Markel Fultz is still recovering from that ACL injury, so we don't really know when he's going to be back. So we're looking at Jalen Suggs starting at point guard. And then the guy they acquired from the Aaron Gordon deal, RJ Hampton, he was also balling out during the latter part of the season. So I think RJ Hampton would be their starting two guard. Now, because Isaac is still recovering, so most likely it will be Terrence Ross who will be starting at the three. And then Chuma Okiki would be, of course, that guy because of the intangibles that he brings, the energy that he brings. We hope he's going to be healthy by the time the season starts. We think that he will be their starting power forward. And then it will be a battle for the center slot between Wendell Carter Jr. and Mo Bamba. But as of the moment, we're putting Wendell Carter Jr. there. As for their potential second unit, then we're looking at, of course, Cole Anthony. He was their first round pick last year, the son of Greg Anthony, former North Carolina star. Um, Cole was also one of the best high school prospects when he came out. He played well, he had some rough games, but he had a very decent rookie season. He was able to show that he can still score at this level. And then, of course, we're hoping Markel Fultz will be back eventually, and also Jonathan Isaac. We're still not sure if when they will exactly come back, but as for the moment, Jonathan Isaac is already listed as day-to-day. Markel is still the one that is still listed as out. Now, when it comes to their backup power forward, then we're placing Mo Wagner here because of his experience. Some would think maybe that should be Franz Wagner's spot right there, but Mo has more experience. He also played very well during the Olympic qualifiers. And then again, for the center slot, we're probably looking at Mo Bamba versus Wendell Carter Jr. They also added Robin Lopez, so they're very deep at that center position. And then some other guys are part of their depth chart. Here we go. So we have Gary Harris. We're also looking at Michael Carter Williams. We're not so sure if he's still going to be back. Gary Harris, this was really the guy that they got from the Aaron Gordon deal. He was the big piece there. So let's see if he can work his way up. He's most likely going to be taking the spot of Fultz as long as Fultz is not yet healthy. Then, of course, Robin Lopez, as mentioned, part of the very deep center rotation for the Magic. And then Franz Wagner, their 8th overall pick in the recent draft. So he'll try to, prove his way and show that he deserves minutes. Okay, so let's go to the thoughts first. The thoughts regarding the Orlando Magic. Again, their biggest concern coming into it was the fact that they were a poor offensive team. They ranked second to the last, but they were very decent. They were a very decent defensive team and also a solid rebounding team. So let's see how their new additions can affect these weaknesses. When it comes to the points, I think Jalen Suggs will help a lot. He's really the big addition there. I don't know if Robin Lopez can contribute in that regard, but I think Suggs will be the guy that will really help them when it comes to the points and also the assists. Remember, Cole Anthony is more of a scoring guard. At least with Suggs, he's known more as a playmaker. Now, the addition of Robin Lopez would once again help them with their defense. That's his main role ever since. So I think they will not have a problem with their rebounding, which they were already 7th last year with the presence of Wendell Carter and Mo Bamba. And then you add Robin Lopez and also a hustle guy in Franz Wagner. Mo Wagner can also rebound and hopefully can provide some scoring as well. And we're also looking at RJ Hampton. If RJ Hampton can just explode into the scene, then that will also be big for them in terms of the scoring. But again, for the points allowed and the rebounding, I think it will just become even better because of the guys that they added. Now, the number one problem, though, with the Orlando Magic, if you look at their roster from the starting lineup going to their possible third stringers, there are really most of these guys, maybe except for Cole Anthony, given the fact that Jalen Suggs can make shots as well, but like this is a non-shooting team. That is really if you look at this lineup, I think that's the major or the glaring thing that we can see. Like Terrence Ross is a volume shooter. RJ Hampton is really more of a slasher. Again, Suggs is also more of that, even though he can hit outside shots. We know the problems of Markel Fultz when it comes to his outside shooting. Cole Anthony can shoot, but he's more of a volume shooter as well. Jonathan Isaac is not really known for his shooting, nor is, the guy that they drafted. Another Franz Wagner is also not known for. So where will the shooting come? That is the biggest question for this Orlando Magic team. And thus, our predictions, well, they ended up having a third worst record in the league. Unless they can really just become all of a sudden a really solid rebounding team with, length and defensive versatility because of their bigs, and in terms of the interior defense and their perimeter defense with the guys that they have like Okiki and Jonathan Isaac as well, and guys like Wagner. Gary Harris can play a lot of defense. So this is a team that is built on defense. Their offense will be a problem. That will be the real issue there. Can they score enough to win games? But I think defensively, that will be their ticket, to improving that record that they had of 21-51. We're probably seeing them on an 82 game schedule. I think just because of the fact that they have really a potential to be a really great defensive team, but I think the lack of offense will hurt a lot. So I'm just looking at probably a 25 win season to 30 win season for this Orlando Magic team, because again, the biggest question is where will the shooting come from? That will be the issue there for the Orlando Magic. Where will they get the shooting? But defensively, they really have a potential to be a really good defensive team. Okay, so that is it for our team preview episode on the Orlando Magic. Again, we would like to thank everyone for joining us here, and feel free, in order to support us, feel free to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow and like us as well on Facebook and Twitter. Just search Dimers TV, and then on Instagram as well, we are there at Dimers TV. 24. So that is it for our episode today. See you again on the next episode of our team preview series. Keep safe, everyone.